Well, just a minute, please. Just a minute, please. Yes, we would like to bring you an interview with Ambassador Jose Cuisia, direct and live from Washington, D.C. And we would like to cover all the highlights of the year and definitely projections for next year and his special message. Ambassador, first and foremost, we would like to congratulate you for another successful year and for your service.
Thank you, Awi. And that would be possible only because we have the support of friends like you and many of our Philippine American colleagues in the U.S. who have been very supportive of the embassy and the consulates in the United States. So we thank all of you for your continued support and cooperation. You're right that 2015 was really a very auspicious year for the Philippines, and I may not be able to cover all the highlights because that would take much longer than I think the time that you have for me. Especially, we're going to discuss also 2016 and then my message.
Right.
So let me just focus on some of the more important, accomplishments of the embassy and the consulates in 2015. As you are probably aware, with a very successful hosting of APEC, the APEC meetings, which culminated in the leaders meeting in Manila on November 18, 19. But throughout the year, there were quite a number of meetings, and of course, the embassy and the consulates contributed our own inputs to those meetings. The meetings in the Boracay, the trade ministers meeting, the finance ministers meeting in Cebu, and many other meetings. There were over 200 meetings related to APEC in 2014-2015. I have to congratulate Undersecretary Laura Del Rosario, who led the DFA team in making the preparations for the APEC meetings. Of course, I congratulate Secretary Del Rosario and our own President Benigno Aquino III for a very successful APEC hosting. Now, so that's one of the major highlights. We of course also had the East Asia Summit meeting in Kuala Lumpur, and again, our president participated together with our Secretary of Foreign Affairs. I think that also marked the start of the ASEAN Economic Community, or AEC, which was scheduled, of course, for the end of 2015. We are very pleased that the AEC has finally been established. But of course, there's still a lot of work that has to be done with regard to the integration of the ASEAN Economic Community. That will happen in 2016 and in the years ahead. As you probably are aware, 2017, the Philippines will be the chairman for the ASEAN in ASEAN meetings in 2017. So that's another big responsibility for the Philippines. Now, there are let me start with the political legislative accomplishments, especially here in the U.S. We were involved with the efforts to consolidate or the establishment of a rules-based environment in the South China Sea. Again, we are just one of the participants in this effort. We're not the only ones, and we have many other colleagues in DFA. We have, of course, our legal team headed by the Solicitor General, and of course our international legal team led by our lawyers from Foley and Hogg. But I think what we're seeing is that there is greater support for the Philippines in terms of our arbitration case that we filed against China in the Arbitral Tribunal of the Law of the Sea. We have, of course, been pushing for the rule of law, respect for the rule of law, particularly the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. And in regard to that, we brought to the United States Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio, who had a 3-city speaking tour AWEES. This is a very prestigious think tank here in Washington, D.C. He also spoke in New York at the Philippine Consulate General's Hall in New York, and also the Philippine Consulate General in San Francisco. So these are very well attended meetings or fora, which I think attracted a lot of attention, and the participants were all very pleased with the excellent presentation of Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. I also wanted to mention, of course, I failed to mention just during the APEC meeting, there was a bilateral meeting between President Obama and President Aquino right before the APEC meeting started. So that was, I think, also a very important meeting. It focused on generating further cooperation on defense and security between the Philippines and the U.S., nuclear non-proliferation, cybersecurity, and climate change. These are just some of the topics that were taken up in the meetings between President Obama and President Aquino. They also discussed development in South China Sea, in particular the island building activities of China, which has contributed to greater tension in the region. And we were, of course, pleased to hear that President Obama supports the arbitration process. We believe that arbitration is a friendly way and a durable way of resolving this maritime dispute in the West Philippine Sea, South China Sea. Lastly, they also talked about the Philippines' intention to join the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a very important regional trade agreement, and we hope to be able to get the support of the United States when the Philippines decides to join that TPP. This will also help us